Thanks for rejoining us. Let's check our developments. Major cities in Grand Crew County are expected to benefit from the special presidential streetlight project. It followed the arrival of about 200 pieces of solar panel lights in the county over the weekend. President George Weah made the disclosure during an interactive meeting with families and residents in Sastown. President Weah said the lights will be installed on the streets of Barclayville, Sastown, Jika, and other major cities in Grand Crew. The Liberian leader told the Sastown residents that the government is doing all it can with the meager resources it has to improve livelihoods and development infrastructures. Meanwhile, Grand Crew County is expected to host the July 26th Independence Day celebration. Speaking Friday in Barclayville, Grand Crew County President George Weah said the national program will be held in the county this year as a way of decentralizing the Independence Day celebration.
I will be coming back here. I'll be coming back here. I know the little lamb my grandma left. I bring my horse, so I will be coming here. Namdaji. So I'll go back, I'll be coming. And I'll be planning one night that the chair or something to it, or to our appearance that listening. Independent Day this year, one night per year. I'm asking, why not? If this Grand Crew is part of the history of this country, then why we can't host one Independent Day? But you see, maybe they have criteria. When we pass the criteria, they'll let us know. Because they get to do a hosting people. They get to do a hosting people. When you can host, then it's easy to bring the kind of event here. This is a great county. Let us not destroy it. We listen to our big brother here. To gain prominence was so difficult. Today, we are part of history. Let us maintain the history. Let us be the leading county. County with peace. County that ready to dialogue. County that understands that government process is not an event. It's a process. People that understand that the government is working for them. This is Grand Crew, Adina. Anybody, Adina.
The Press Union of Liberia, PUL, has awarded several of its members and institutions for their excellent performances during the year 2020. At the awards ceremony Friday at the Painesville City Hall, the Liberia Broadcasting System, ELBC Radio, was recognized as Radio Station of the Year, while LNTV was awarded the Best Television Station of the Year. Front Page Africa newspaper was named the Best Newspaper for the year 2020. For individuals awards, Zokwe Best Lokonen of the Liberia Broadcasting System was awarded Best Newscaster, while the system's Executive Mansion reporter, Vafle Kamara, walked away with the Best Executive Mansion Reporter of the Year 2020. Winston Bladin of Banan FM was named Best Legislative Reporter, and Truth FM's Peter Toby was recognized as the Best Judicial Correspondent, that's reporter. Power TV FM Anthony Stevens was awarded Journalist of the Year 2020, among others. The chair leader of the SKD community in Painesville, Janet Collins is appealing to government to assist in the burial of 8 family members that recently died in the area. The 8 family members, including a graduate of the University of Liberia, were discovered dead in their home on Thursday morning following an overnight party. The Liberian National Police says the 8 died as a result of carbon monoxide poisoning. Speaking to reporters over the weekend, Madam Collins said the family and community are overwhelmed with the deaths and called on government to assist in the burial. She disclosed that the community residents have begun mobilizing to help the family, but such undertaking requires extended assistance. Today's one-known Health Minister, Dr. Wilhelmina Jala, says government has made funding available to help health authorities as the country remains in the preparedness stage for Ebola. Addressing journalists at a special edition of the Ministry of Information press briefing Friday, Dr. Jala said the health authorities have adjusted the country's Ebola plan of 2019 to reflect the present situation. The health minister disclosed that all of the alleged Ebola cases in Liberia have tested negative.
Now, plans. The plan was made in 2015. The first thing that you will do as a preparedness stage is to pull out all of the plans that were made and look at it and adjust it to the current situation. So all of that have already been done as soon as we got the announcement for the EVD in Guinea. The very next day we were at the table, we have done our homework, and now we're looking at the new plan, the new revised plan that will meet. About funding, you know, all the funding will not be available at one time. The government, most people like to see that the government what the government is doing before other people start coming in. The government have already provided the first funding for us to begin. Because of that, we are able to make sure that our border lines and our community engagement and part of the preparedness is going on. It's a systematic thing. But as we go on, we are discussing with partners, the Senate, and other people to put money into more preparedness. But at least we have initial funding to start the preparedness.
Meanwhile, the Ministry of Health is expected to shortly begin rolling out a series of vaccines, including the AstraZeneca vaccine for COVID-19. The ministry will commence a nationwide polio vaccination exercise this March to vaccinate more than 900,000 children between ages 0 to 59 months. It is also expected to begin a nationwide administration of typhoid vaccine for more than 1.9 million children between the ages of 9 months to 14 years. On Friday, the program manager for immunization at the Ministry of Health, Dr. Adolphus Clark, said 384,000 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine will arrive in Liberia next week to commence the vaccination exercise 2 weeks later.
So I listed several vaccines that will happen at different time intervals. If you got me right, I gave you different time intervals and different target audience. I tell you for the polio campaign, we are going to look at children 0 to 59 months or children less than 5 years. And that polio campaign starts March 12 to March 15. I told you about the type of conjugate vaccine that is scheduled for March 24 to the 28th. And then I talked about the arrival of the COVID-19 vaccine next week. And we are planning to ensure that once the vaccine arrives, we can commence vaccination with the healthcare workers. The Honorable Minister will communicate officially when the first healthcare worker is going to receive his or her COVID vaccine. I mean, that's something that we will work on at the technical level, and she will provide that official audit to the larger audience.
Dr. Clark at the same time clarified that the type of vaccine that is expected in the country is capable of treating the variant of the coronavirus that is in the country.
Vaccine development started on a R&D, or research and development. We were looking at one variant at a time, and there was tremendous progress being made to ensure that said vaccine or vaccines are able to counteract that variant. In the process of what we call regulatory approval through Delhi, which is what we refer to as the emergency use procedure, or that of the emergency use authorization, we learned about the second variant starting from the UK, and then we saw in Africa, in South Africa. What we know today in Liberia, the vaccine that will be around in the next 5 days will be able to combat the current variant that we have in Liberia. We are all hoping and praying that we don't have a second variant, but what is most important, we are all, through the Office of the Honorable Minister, engaging global counterparts to see what vaccine now can go against the second variant. So if you even look at the US Pfizer vaccine, or Moderna, or Galilea, or the Sinovac, the Chinese or Russian, they are still evolving, and so once we get additional information relative to the vaccine that tackles both the first and the second variant, we'll do the honorable thing as a country to ensure that said vaccine is brought to Liberia to have our citizens fully protected. But at this point in time, what we know is that the variant we have here is the vaccine that we are bringing to protect us against that particular variant.
Head of Immunization at the Ministry of Health, Dr. Eldephos Clark. Well, viewers, if you just joined us, it's a reminder that you're watching LNTV News Live, and these are the top stories we're following. Major cities in Grand Crew County to benefit from the special presidential streetlight project. Several district commissioners in Bapuru County summoned for contempt. The chair lady of the SKD community in Painesville appeals the government to assist in the burial of 8 family members that recently died of carbon monoxide in that area. And of the home front, the United Nations Human Rights Officers, police have filed on protesters in Name, killing at least 18 people. We take a short break to be right back. Thanks for rejoining us. Well, as you heard in the headlines, the judge of the 16th Judicial Circuit Court in Bapolu County has issued a writ of summons for several district commissioners in the county. Judge Siafa Kere issued the writ of summons for the commissioners of Bopolu, Bele, Gol, Bama, Bokomon, and Komba districts. The commissioners are being charged for contempt of court and have been ordered to appear on Monday, March 1 to show cause why they should not be held in contempt. They are accused of refusing to attend a meeting with the court after they were cited twice. According to the writ of summons, the commissioners failed to adhere to a communication asking them to send qualified individuals from their respective districts to serve as jurors for the February term of court. One Planet Education, a pro-agriculture group is calling on all Liberians to invest in their time in agriculture activities to ensure food sufficiency. In an ELBC interview Friday, the group executive director Gombe Emmanuel Zio lauded the We Are led government for championing agriculture in the country.
Do is we take agriculture back to the schools, but in a brand new way where we evolved smart technologies where someone can say, oh, I have a smart farm. So some of the things we include comes with a soil tester, a rain gauge, you know, something that you can measure the depth of your soil with, as well as we provide monitors for your field. So currently we're working with 7 schools in Liberia, and it has been very welcoming for us. Interestingly, most of the students that we engaged with or we started with, they are doing pretty well, and more students are actually gaining interest. I'm very grateful to the President, President George Weah, and the Minister of Agriculture, Madam Jenny Cooper, for their willingness to actually take us back to the soil. I'm from a farming background. My dad he's been into farming for quite some time now, but I grew up with the mindset that I should be able to eat anything I want to eat at any time, which means the only way that will be possible if I can grow what I eat. So if I want to eat potato greens, I can.
Meanwhile, Mr. Zio stressed the importance of agriculture in any hunger and poverty.
Well, economically, what's going to happen if we prioritize agriculture? There are several things that's going to happen. One, our folks are going to be self-dependent, as I said. We wouldn't have to import food from overseas. More so, it could generate income for us economically, because what we produce we can sell. And that's one of the things we're doing with the schools. We're not just teaching them how to produce, but we're creating the entrepreneurial side of things where they're able to set up a stand where they can set their vegetables, their fruit that they grew from right on the school and sell them, and they can use that money to pay school fees, they can use that money to buy provisions in the house, they can use that money to entertain themselves. So the entrepreneurial side of things, don't just eat everything, but sell some.
Well, Patriotic Entrepreneurs of Liberia Patel, a conglomeration of local businesses, wants the total involvement of the national legislature to help Liberians take hold of their economy. Patel chairman Dominic Nimne said members of the legislature have the power to correct the wrongs in the Liberian economy, and the group will intensify its engagement with the body. Speaking to LNTV Friday, Mr. Nimne called for seats at the legislature for Liberian business representation.
We Liberians have been being marginalized in our country, and most of these laws, rules, and regulations are being passed by the legislature. They have the oversight. Being you having the oversight, it's like somebody trusting you with their family. Somebody trusting you, a 25-year-old woman or man. Somebody trusting you with their family. You should build. You should work within that trust. We have the Google regulation on the book, but the implementation part of it is the problem. Who do we blame? The legislature. They're going to the legislature, and we're going to hold their feet to the fire until they can right the wrongs. It's about time they right the wrongs, and we need those 2 seats because we no longer trust them to make policy for us on liberalization or policy for us. We no longer trust them with our economy. Our economy has been slipped out of our hand for decades. It's a national security issue. What they do as a legislator, what they thinking to do about that? If the Indian or Lebanese men say you're not bringing rice here today, there will be no rice. You can remember during the Ebola outbreak. They stopped, they said they had rice in the warehouse and they said there was no rice. Professor Wilson Tabet started going from store to store, including the food out, to make them to put those rice outside to sell it. So it's a national security issue.
Over 100 students benefiting educational scholarship from the Liberia Recitation Association are said to be struggling for school materials. The executive director for the association, King Jameson Zilu, is calling on government, NGOs, and other well-meaning Liberians to assist the students with school materials.
We're here to call on the government of Liberia, NGO, well-meaning Liberians and philanthropic group to please help the Liberia Recitation Association with school material, because we noticed that after the COVID-19 crisis in Liberia, parents are not really affording to send children to school. Even those few of them that are in school doesn't have adequate school material. So today we are come out to call on government and well-meaning Liberians to please help us with school material. That's why we are here.
Are you sponsoring students to various schools?
Yes, we are not directly sponsoring them, but we advocate for them and other people come to help and sponsor them. So we have our own school that we were collecting children from the community, sending them to school for 2 academic years, but now we dissolved the school because the property owner took it from us. So we transferred these students in another school and we advocated that they give them 50% tuition free. So currently the school we are talking about, they are all elementary, from kindergarten to elementary.
Well, let's now take our foreign development. The United Nations Human Rights Office says the police have fired on protesters in Niamey, killing at least 18 people. According to the BBC, deaths were reported in several cities, including Yangon, Dawi, and Madale, as police used live rounds and tear gas. Security forces began the violent crackdown on Saturday after weeks of largely peaceful protests against the 1 February military takeover. Government leaders, including Aung San Suu Kyi, were overthrown and detained. Social media footage from Sunday showed protesters running away as police chased after them, makeshift roadblocks being erected, and several people being led away covered in blood. Well, viewers, on that note, this is how we draw the curtains on this morning edition of LNTV News Live. But before we go, a recap of the major stories we followed. Major cities in Greencrew County to benefit from the special presidential streetlight project. Several district commissioners in Bapodu County summoned for contempt. The chairlady of the SKD community in Painesville appeals to government to assist in the burial of 8 family members that recently died of carbon monoxide poisoning in the area. And of the home front, the United Nations Human Rights Office says police have fired on protesters in Nama, killing at least 18 people. Many thanks to our entire production team for making this morning edition a success. Many thanks to you, our valued viewers, for always watching. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Cecilia Glickly Clark. I anchored Good Morning from Painesville.